Hello, my name is Marcello Bicecchi, CTO with Straight Score. Today we're going to be discussing the options lifecycle in Shoot Pro Cloud. So the first thing that you might be asking yourself is, what is an options lifecycle? Simply put, the options lifecycle is a way to ensure that money is not given out to shooters at the incorrect time. So you might be asking yourself, what is the purpose of having a lifecycle? The primary reason is to protect the availability of funds. This way we don't pay out a shooter before we are ready to. In turn, this means that we are going to be reducing the number of errors that we make as cashiers. So we are not going to be able to pay out a shooter their winnings before we have decided that options are final. Regardless if a score is changed, we are not going to rerun these options. And finally, this will allow us to simplify our workload. So we're not going to have to go through and retrain all of our cashiers and make sure that they're not going to be taking any of the option money that they should not be paying out and paying it out. And let's say that a score changes and now we have to go hunt down a shooter and say, hey, you still owe us $20 because you no longer won the Lewis. It just simplifies the workload. So what is the cycle? We start out with pending, and then we go to processed and then released. So pending means the option has not been ran yet. And then processed means the option has been ran, but the winnings are not available to the shooter. And then finally, released is the option has been ran and the winnings are now able to be redeemed by the shooter. So the shooter can redeem it at cashiering and use their winnings to pay for future events. The winnings could be paid out in cash or a check on demand, or they can be printed out in a batch sum of checks. So when do you change the status of an option? So going from pending to processed is done automatically. When you run the option, the status automatically changes. Then going from processed to released, you have to manually release. So let's say that the program says that option money for the previous day is not going to be paid out until noon the following day. So the following day you go into the options dashboard and release all of the previous day's options. This way those funds are now available to the shooter. It also means that regardless of score changes, you are not going to make any changes to the payouts. Can you undo an option? Absolutely. So going from processed back to pending, you can click that button at any point in time, undo the option, redo it. There's nothing extra that you have to do. However, when you're going from process to release, that can be a little bit more complicated. You need to make sure that none of those shooters have been paid out already, and if they have, then you're going to have to go collect that money back from the shooter, especially if there is a score change or some kind of issue that comes up where a shooter was paid when they should not have been. Now, luckily, if you follow the program in which the way it was designed to be used, you aren't going to pay out a shooter prior to the scores being finalized and changes no longer being permitted. So this way, when it is in the pending status, you don't have to worry about going and hunting down a shooter and saying, hey, you owe us $10, $20, $30 for some kind of mistake. And so finally, where can the option money be collected? Now, in Shoot Pro Cloud, we offer the ability to collect option winnings at the time of cashiering in a way where you can use your option winnings to pay for future events. So let's say that Joe Blow won $200 off the Lewis on the second event, and it is now the second day. He's coming back around 1 p.m. He's wanting to cashier for the third day. The shooter can take that $200 and apply that towards their target fees and options for future events. This way, you don't have to print out checks every night, then have the shooter sign it, and then hand it right back to you in order to use that money to pay for future events. The other place where money can be collected is through the cashiering menu, shooter payout, which will then allow you to pay out a shooter via cash or check. So this will let you print out a single check or hand the shooter back cash. And then finally, you can always do batch payout. Batch payout allows you to pay out any pending account balance either day by day or at the end of the shoot. It's completely up to you when you run it. So that is how the options lifecycle works in Shoot Pro Cloud. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, or contact us via the club dashboard. Additional resources are available in the video description below. If you found this tutorial helpful, please hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to see when we post new tutorials, and hit the bell icon to get notified when we post new content. Thank you for watching.